My name is Elizabeth, and I am from Buffalo, New York, and I grew up in the city of Buffalo in the area called Lovejoy. And I am leaving this video from a city in Georgia near Atlanta, about 30 minutes from Atlanta. And the reason I'm making this video is going to be brief, but I just wanted to say that I grew up in the city of Buffalo, and that when I was attending Buffalo State College, which were the years 1989 to 1994, I was watching Buffalo Bills games, mostly at the last quarter, because I worked for my college years at a retail store at the Walden Galleria Mall. So I often worked on Sundays, and when I worked on Sundays, I would come home to watch the end of the football game. About half of the time period I attended Buffalo State College, I was a commuter, and I commuted from home where I lived with my mom in Cheektowaga, New York. But the first half of the time that I went to Buffalo State College, I was a resident assistant, and I lived on campus in Tower 4, and I was a resident assistant my second year and my third year. My third year, I went to Florida, and I believe it was my third year, I went to Florida for a semester, and during that semester, I attended University of South Florida, and then I returned to Buffalo State College to graduate, and then I went back to Florida and I got my master's degree. My master's degree is in adult education, and it's in training and development, and one of the things that we're known for in education is research, because whether you focused on research for adult and continuing education in the college track like junior college, or whether you chose to focus in human resources development like I did, or if you chose to focus in there's junior college and HR, the two that come to me right off the top of my head, because I remember distinctly making those choices. So we'll leave it at two for now. A lot of the research that I did for college was based upon my position. And when I was in school, I was working for Department of Children and Families, and the program department I was in was called Alcohol, Drug Abuse, and Mental Health. And when I graduated, I left the field of mental health and I started working as a personal trainer. And so in my work as a personal trainer, I worked for Lifestyle Family Fitness, where I got my certification through National Academy of Sports Medicine. I also worked for a gym in St. Petersburg on the beach called Fit for Life. I also worked at Shapes Fitness for Women, and also Morton Plant Cheek Powell Wellness Center. And those are right off the top of my head. So I have had a lot of experience in exercise, training and instruction, exercise leader, Shapes personal trainer, Lifestyle Family Fitness, I was a personal trainer. And so there was a lot of things that I have experienced in my lifetime. Starting at age 5, when I was in kindergarten, I went to a public school called 43 Academy, and they changed the name when I was in 4th grade. And I used to climb in the gymnasium rings and on the horses, and I loved gymnastics, loved it very, very much. But I also recall being removed from gymnastics, and I was not allowed to play anymore. So I experienced many times, that's the earliest I can remember, but a separation from play. And I was told that that was something I wasn't allowed to do, play in the form of exercise. So my whole entire life, I was not allowed to do exercise that required me to wear like exercise clothing, which is probably why now I sell exercise clothing. So at www.inspirewellbeing.com, I create, design, and sell activewear and loungewear. So I also am making this video because while I was in college, I started out to study design, and that was my major. And then about the first semester, before we started taking classes specific to our major, I was told the design program was canceled, and one of our instructors made an announcement. And so we had to either change schools or change our major. I changed my major and I started to study psychology. And during my 4 years of studying psychology, I went to Florida for one semester at USF in Tampa, and I lived on campus for one semester. And my intention at that point was to actually stay, but I did come back to New York, and I lived in Cheektowaga, and I was a commuter, and I returned to work at the Galleria Mall, and I started working at Friendly's in Williamsville as a server, which was a great restaurant, which I miss very much. I would actually go work there right now if I could. So, Friendlies and working at the mall. And then I also worked for a YMCA at in Williamsville. So there was an internship I did, and it was called I worked with Dr. Jerry Cooperman at a school where, as a psychologist, he had me do like an internship with him, and I got full college credit for one course because that was part of my class requirements. So I share this with you just because for me, I took a moment back in time and I went back to the time period when I lived in Buffalo and I was a Buffalo Bills fan. When my son turned 5, he was removed from play in the form of playing with his mom. And we have been separated since he was 5 years old. And I have felt like I was a Buffalo Bill. Honestly, I should say Buffalo Jill, but hasn't been a cheerleader by any means. That's the feeling I had when I was with my son, like a cheerleader, and we would cheer each other on until the day is done, from the time the sun rose up until the sun went down. But I have felt like a Buffalo Bill, and I'm going to explain briefly. The reason I say that is because my son was taken, and they used false information to take him, and then they wouldn't give him back. And so each move I've made, I've had somebody try to stop me. So it has been based upon fabrication and lies and defamation of character and anything you could even possibly imagine, including I was hypnotized to not speak. So having a master's degree in education, you would think it would be no problem to be in the Florida school system. Well, I was bullied out of the Florida school system and my son was taken. And so, as any good football player knows, you need to have all of the plays prepared for you by your coach, and then you need good communication. So I had received a gift the Christmas I still had my son of broken walkie-talkies where there was no communication, and this was a gift given to my son. And my son had this gift given to him by his uncle. Well, he has lost all communication with all of his friends. And so I point this out to you to let you know that as a sister of somebody who gave my son broken walkie-talkies that cut off all communication, he also has created an opportunity for himself. When he came on campus with me, he saw hypnosis on campus at Buffalo State College. When I was an RA, they hosted an event where they taught people that you could command them what to do and order them what to do under hypnosis. And so when my son was taken, it was after a summer when I was hypnotized, and I was hypnotized to do things on command. And I was specifically told, you do what you're told to do. No, you speak when spoken to. And so the other side of that equation is you don't speak when you're not told to. And so I've experienced sore throat. I've experienced, I wouldn't say sore throat, hoarse throat, where I can't speak. And so sometimes when I'm speaking, I have to go get water and honey. And so I have put this video together because I want the Buffalo Bills team to be able to open up an investigation, because I believe that your team had somebody bet against you, and it was my father. My father bet against me, and he's rooting for my ex-husband. So any attempt I make to get to my son, he's got a gang stalking group of people in place to stop him called the justice system, and that includes police. So in the Buffalo Bills team, when Scott Norwood missed the field goal, he should have made the field goal. And I believe that he was hypnotized, like other team members, to not be able to achieve the goal of winning the Super Bowl. I will give a testimony and I will be available for questions, but I can promise you that if there were any team that deserved to win the Super Bowl, it was the Buffalo Bills. I just encourage you to don't think that you're alone, because I am a mother of a 12-year-old boy who for 7 years I've been playing football, trying to combat and be undefeated as a mom, and I've not been able to get to my beloved child. Namaste.